Well, hey, Jamie. Well, welcome to the green room.
Welcome
We've done this
to the green room.
almost 200 times.
I think there was a rumor that we had a lost episode too, so we might have already passed 200 folks, but um, we think this is
200 attempts.
around that. Yeah, we're yes, there you go. That's good. I like that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, we've
strong.
been we've been doing this a while, and sometimes you still have technical difficulties, but I I don't care.
Or your streaming platform like adds things that you've been requesting, so you know they're listening, or are they AI chatbots and overlords listening and then pounding out some code to change things for us?
You mean like that? Laugh tracks?
Yeah, like and I love that you had to go try and find the right button. You were like, "Oh,
You
that
saw my
laugh
eyes?
track. Let me go find it."
You know,
I saw your eyes. Yeah,
I
yeah. You're like,
know. I think I'll only save those for the green room because I think they're a little too sitcom like. I
"Mhm,
mean, unless we have a
yes,
really
we are
fun
not in front of a
guest.
live. Yeah, this is live, but there is no live studio audience like in our houses where we're recording, because that would be
Um,
really weird.
so so the before we get into the show, we I was able to extend the socializing of the conference to dinner last night with our old friends Evelyn and Larry. And so they were in town. I don't know how much you know about what they were running, but they had this uh, certificate program that they ran through University of Michigan as like a innovation and entrepreneurship uh, seminar. So it was a 6 week uh, 6 week course online. And so last night,
So like a
or
like a Maymester kind of thing or some.
well, what's that? What's that thing that you're talking about? May Messer?
Well, so I mean, not that it was a Maymester, but like people will talk about like you've got your spring semester and your fall semester traditionally in
Oh,
universities, and sometimes you try and insert like a winter break,
yeah, yeah,
or a Maymester between
May
between
Messer.
semesters to capture students. Yeah.
So I asked about that since I teach I teach as well, and it was actually open to outside of is through U of M, but also open to non students, professionals, and around the countries because it was online primarily. And then they culminated last night or yesterday, or I guess this past week. They came out on Wednesday, and so they culminated with some face to face. They did some tours around town with innovative practices in architecture and construction, um, and in business models, and then they got to tour some of the newer projects like the Michigan Central train station, and then Synecdoche's office space, which is kind of a co mixed use building. And so this is kind of neat. In concert, I didn't do any of this touring with them because I wasn't in the class, but I was just catching up with them last night, and um, it was just an interesting program. So for them, it was only 6 weeks. Like my summer semester, which I'm teaching a class right now, is a 10-week class, which
Right.
is a shorter summer semester than a typical 15 or 16 week regular semester, and so I'm entering week 7. I could wait, hold on. Week 7, week 7, everybody. So there's 4 weeks left to go, and I can't wait for the semester to be complete. Um, this is the promise. The promise to me is that they will not run this particular class in the summer again. So I won't have
Just a
to.
little too intensive.
What's that?
Just a little too intensive for the summer.
No, it just they kind of tweaked the flow chart, like the curriculum roadmap. So they just moved it into a spring. I don't think it's too intense. It's just it, I think a lot of stuff in the grad side got jumbled up by the pandemic as far as timing, and now they finally, it's like a battleship. How do you steer? It takes a little while to get it back on the right path. But otherwise, for Evelyn and Larry, it's fun to catch up. We went to dinner downtown Detroit. Got a good recommendation from my faculty friend Breck, who lives in the area, and there's a Vietnamese, kind of a fusiony, I guess, Vietnamese place called Flowers of Vietnam, with just everything was good. It's a little pricey, but everything was good, so you can't complain, on that fact. Good enough that I ordered extra food to take home because Danielle wasn't with me, so I felt a little guilty eating all this good food and not bringing home any to share.
That's when you go from the 4-star to the 4.5-star on your review when you're like, "I think I'm going to order some extra."
I should give him a review. I haven't yet. But anytime you pop up to Detroit on your way to Montreal or something, to the mothership, um, we can go there. And yeah, it was good to see Larry. Unfortunately,
Okay.
so saw Evelyn at conference, didn't see Larry at conference, and missed Larry. So we teased him a little bit about, if he can't make it to next year's conference in his own home state, then we need to alert the authorities.
Yeah, there's like an intervention coming. Yes, agreed.
And he conceded. He agreed. So we'll probably see him next year in Philadelphia. So, but
Well, I
how
mean,
about you?
that's
You
great.
had a fun weekend too.
Yeah, so part of this week was the Texas Society of Architects board meeting, but
That
it's the
doesn't
summer
sound.
board meetings, which was a little it's on the shorter side,
Oh,
and
okay.
but
For the
yeah, but they inserted strategic planning, which now maybe on the negative side, right? On the unfun side.
yeah,
Um,
you're
I know
executive
it's like it's all
voice
over the
going
place.
down like this.
Yeah.
So
But it
should
what
put it on the
was
whiteboard. We should map this out.
you we should map this out. No, we don't need to map this out. But what was the one takeaway I will say is that um, for a strategic planning session, having sat through them, at different points and in different, you know, settings, professional settings, this one was actually remarkably pretty engaging. I mean, it wasn't. I think that everybody had a lot of opportunity to dialogue on a variety of subjects, and I was impressed with the facilitator. Can't say that I've ever used that phrase before, but they handled the situation in a room full of architects really, really well. Because every architect in the room had an opinion, and every one of them wanted to design something. So the fact that they were able to kind of herd that group the way that they did was pretty impressive. And then immediately following that, just to stay on my Texas Society of Architects, tip here is a good friend of mine, a past president, um, Paul, got married yesterday. So got to go to his wedding, which was extra special.
Is it too much? Is it too much sound effects?
I think we're gonna put a limit. We're gonna put a limit on how many times you're allowed to touch the
I
buttons.
finally have my
Yeah.
buttons.
You have your buttons. This is that episode, folks, where Kurt uses them a lot. And then they will become sparing moving forward.
Hey, we're in
But
agreement.
Sherry and
We could at least agree that
Yeah.
when we're in the show, we won't. I'll hide the buttons.
Okay. So yeah, Sherry and Paul had a beautiful ceremony and a nice party. Had to go into enemy territory to do it. It was a building that I've never been in. So it's the UT Alumni Center. You know, was an Aggie in the UT Alumni Center he's a good friend if I'm doing that, right? So, but no, congratulations to them. They threw a hell of a party. It was fun.
Oh, yeah, cool. What was the other? I just remembered something and now I forgot. Strategic plan. Well, Michigan also just went through our strategic plan last fall, and we which just concur that it was actually well done. We actually had 3 Aspens, another good friend, Helene Dreiling.
Oh yeah,
our consulting firm, organized or facilitated the strategic plan development. So I'm hopeful that it's one of those things that doesn't collect dust in a digital bookshelf. You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure.
Yeah. So I understand your, peaks and valleys of emotion. But I'm glad it ended on a high note, which before we started recording, I thought maybe, Jamie was on the struggle bus a little bit of maybe enjoying himself too much at said wedding.
No struggle bus. So
was there any World Cup involvement in the
ceremony? I did not see anybody checking their phones.
Trying to check.
Yeah. If they did it very discreetly. I was not. It
recording things.
Yeah, taking lots of pictures. There's music. A lot of costume changes. I'm teasing when I say that. If you've ever been to a semi-traditional, Chinese wedding, or even a blended marriage or anything like that, or blended cultures, or what's nice about it is that those traditions sort of kind of come into it in kind of different ways, and one that I think is sort of fun, actually, because it's like, if you're going to throw a party and you have to get really dressed up, and you also get the opportunity to dress up a couple different times because it's your party, and everyone's taking pictures of you because it's your day. I mean, it's kind of leaning into all the good stuff, right? And so the two of them, had a lot of fun with it, and you could really tell that they were very, very happy. So yeah, good stuff.
Yeah,
and a fair amount of architects in the room. So
was everyone wearing black?
I even went with, I know black is my uniform. M teases me, still about, dad's uniform. No, I went dark. Like I have a dark blue, not like a, it's got a fleck and a pattern a little bit to it. So yeah.
Oh, okay. Not trying to pretend to.
You've seen it. No, didn't even try.
Nice. Well done.
Steered away.
All right then. Well, I think that's the warm up, right, Jamie? How do you like that segue?
I think that I feel
I'm struggling to not touch a button right now.
I want
to push a button super bad.
Well, push the intro. Cue the intro. This is the bonus episode, folks. This is the bonus episode.
All right. I get to I guess I'll play this button. We need to update that last picture probably. It's getting a
Yeah.
little aged. We might be misrepresenting ourselves.
Or we just slide it like earlier in the carousel and they can watch us age.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah, we have some it's yeah, like a Linklater movie, we have stages of life in photo.
or we could do a Benjamin Button thing and just like flip the whole thing and then we can like
Get younger.
get
Oh,
younger. I don't know
oh.
if I want to. Do you want to get younger? Do you want to get younger?
I've always joked that I would just like to do college again, but it doesn't mean I would want to be 20 again. I would just want to go back to college. I had fun. I wanted to do more college, do it again because it was so fun the first time.
So basically, what you said is you've learned enough to fine tune the fun,
That's right.
and you want to go back when you have more opportunity and energy to do that.
It comes with experience.
Hmm.
You can. I guess it's like Back to the Future or other movies where you get a second chance and you try and avoid the pitfalls because you know where they are. Anyway, this is a tangential, unrelated to the podcast. But
I'm here for the tangents and the side quests. So
I don't know. Yeah, sometimes I wonder if it's all side quests, but no, just so. Welcome to the show, Jamie. We've dubbed
true.
this the
That is true.
AI 26 Conference on Architecture recap episode. So we're going to talk a lot
Yes.
about
Yeah.
what just went down a couple of weeks ago. It took me a whole week. Well, I think I got sick on the way home, like a cold or something. So I was pretty run down the week after. I now feel normal and sound normal. I started to sound a little weird too, so I don't know. Hopefully, I didn't share any germs with friends and family. But anyway, on the bright side, here we are.
On the bright side, we're doing this recap relatively close to the event, so things are still fresh in the brain, and yeah, no, this is good. So this is the bonus episode for those who are counting, because we know you're keeping score.
Yeah, I guess we're on the cusp of a milestone. We're at 199B.
Yes, this is 199B. And did I see a T-shirt there that like a familiar T-shirt? Is
This
that
is
like a pale
a,
blue? Is it?
a
Did
good
you get a
segue.
pale blue one?
Look at
Yeah.
it reads, yes, it's in the drawings. So this is probably my favorite piece of.
Let me see that again, because that's pretty good swag.
Here we go. There you go. Yes, it's in the drawing.
Yeah, that's good. Good job.
I need to wear it to a job site, but I have apprehension that I will get told that the drawings are not very good, and then I'll feel very bad. So I gotta wait till I have a job where I'm 101% confident it's in the drawings. But this came from,
You
in
have
the
to walk
expo
on
floor.
every job site with a level of confidence.
Well, it takes a team. You got to have a good contractor, good client, and then everybody is looking out for each other. So, um, so this is, from the expo floor, a lot of the product reps for software, hardware, building materials, all that stuff, have figured out that architects love free stuff. And so every year it seems like the companies up their game a bit. I saw a lot of T-shirts this year from from different companies, and so this particular T-shirt came from a specification software company called Part Three, and not not to give too many plugs away, but if the guys are listening, why not shout them out? They had very creative T-shirts, and so they had three different styles, different colors, different text, and this was like the first booth I wound up walking into on the day it opened. So that's my story. But the conference didn't start. That was Thursday. So the conference did not start on Thursday. For you, it started even sooner. I think Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, I was
Tuesday.
there. I was there Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should probably start. If we're going to
So
recap, we got to go back to the beginning.
okay, this is the Benjamin Button part. Yeah, this is the Benjamin Button. We're going back in time. So de-age stuff. But before we even do that, as you pick up your mug, I will do the same. Get our product placement.
Well, my mug says it's been one of those days for 3 years now, and I should be using our coffee sketch mug, but
yeah, you're not bitter at all. I use the coffee sketch mug all the time, folks.
this one's slightly
also
bigger. We're
microwavable.
gonna have to get some bigger coffee sketch mugs.
Yeah, there's gonna be a version 2.0. Agreed. But no, the conference for me did start on Tuesday. I had AI Strategic Council. I'm serving as an at-large representative right now. So we do in-person meetings twice a year. And so it's really, which is excellent, and a great opportunity to see everybody and kind of connect on the work that we're doing from our working groups, but then also sort of the larger collective. And right now, National AI is going through sort of a governance shift, or at least sort of exploring some of those options. Strategic Council's been in existence for 10 years now. And so that, just that alone, I think is something that is it seems very timely, for everything to be kind of looked at. But so that was a fair amount of what we talked about as a group. But that was all in the afternoon. So I was able to actually get into town pretty early. This is one of those side quest moments, Kurt, that you know me for. Is Kurt and I always sort of plan our, like, when are you arriving? When do you land? When's wheels up? How far are you from the hotel? And so I got in really early. Going to the West Coast, get that bonus, extra time. And so I did my walkabout, which was great because San Diego is absolutely gorgeous, in terms of weather, architecture, walkability. And so I was able to explore for a few hours, and really kind of enjoyed myself. Really felt like I was able to kind of decompress from I had back-to-back conferences right before that. So it was a nice little dash in there, for me to kind of reset just before basically before everybody else arrived. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah, I was jealous. But I got in on Wednesday, and same thing. I get an extra hour of rewind because I'm on the East Coast time zone, and flying out west 3 hours. So you kind of take off at, what time was my flight? I don't know, 10 o'clock, and I landed at 2. So do the math, -3. That's good. And then I immediately found our old friend Clarice and her fiance now, Toby, and we, Wednesday is pretty light, light business for a conference day. It's sort of warming up. I wasn't in time for like the symposia that they had hosted, so I was in time for dinner and drinks. So could be worse, right? And then, although Wednesday was the opening night party too, right, for AI.
Yeah, on the boardwalk, so right next to the conference hotel and next to the convention center. Um, so you couldn't see the water. I mean, which
I
that would have
mean,
been kind of
dark
nice.
by then. Yeah,
Um, yeah,
it was
but
nice. The weather was
but it was
great.
nice. Weather, yeah, no complaints.
The only
Lots of
the
people.
only thing that I found funny was that they kind of touted the opening night party as like a new thing, but I'm pretty sure they used to do opening night parties. So I don't know. I guess they were assuming people had forgotten, and they're like, "Oh, look, a new thing." But it was
Yeah,
nice. It was a nicely done event, outside. You totally take advantage of the weather in San Diego. Um, so that's what, day one ish, Wednesday.
yeah,
Things get real on Thursday, and the keynotes start the day. They usually present a couple of the big award winners. I think, yeah, Thursday morning was probably when they did the gold medal for Shigeru Ban, because then
yeah.
later
So,
Thursday was um, his talk, right, which you went to his talk on Thursday afternoon. But before all that, is the keynote presentation, and then they kind of release all the architects to the expo floor. Opens up on formally on Thursday morning. Um, so was that, which is good. Although I guess if you really want all the details, like the conference to me, I think is kind of like a well-oiled machine now, because we've been to so many in a row. um, you get used to the sort of the rhythm and the pattern of the different events and learning opportunities and things. But there are sessions for continuing education at 7:30 in the morning before the keynote, which I've never I've never been to one, because I'm usually still sleeping or trying
but
to get up. We got up early enough this year, but drinking coffee, and then walking and talking, uh, finding friends in the concourse. Part that's kind of part of the lore or the mystique of conference for me these days is all the service that we've done within AIA, and collaborating with other architects. Is then you bump into them in the conference center concourse, and you get to catch up with friends for a few minutes, doing like the coffee walk and talk. Oh, and then we also, but was it Thursday morning? Yeah, we met up with sketching, right?
yeah, yeah,
But I'll let you talk about that, because that's something that you actually sort of wrangled.
yeah. So, yeah, the um, had this is one of those moments too where there's this is the for the this kind of an old school moment, I guess, but sort of it's nice that it sort of still exists in a way. So when just bear with me for a moment, but that when the Twitters were a thing, right? When they like a burgeoning thing, um, you kind of went to go find your tribe, right? You went to go find folks who were interested in the same things that you were interested in. And what was really nice about it at that in those early years was you got to meet a lot of architects and artists in my case, and people who were sketching and drawing and even in parallel industries, but there was a fair contingent of architects that I'd never met before, that I really got to know, online, through Twitter, through conversations. There was different meetups and things, and then eventually, kind of at conference, like Kurt was saying, is we've been going for a few years and we've done a lot of service, And so there was sort of leaning into that moment of, well, this is a chance that everybody's in the same room. We're in the same city. And so you get to meet some folks in real life, which is nice. And so that trend, isn't maybe as pronounced as talked about, but this is certainly something that we experienced on Thursday morning in that pre-session time slot that Kurt was referring to. So we were up early on Thursday, and Nathan, who's out in California, had reached out to us. We've gotten to know him a little bit, myself a little bit more than Kurt, but he he's a sketcher. He does a lot of construction specification and sort of architecture kind of forensics, and that's kind of a passion for him, and does a lot of speaking kind of on the West Coast related to that. But he's a very, very good sketcher, and so got to know him through kind of Instagram stuff. And he also has, during kind of the Arc Inktober, the October focus that a lot of architects tend to take in terms of their sketching. He's been really active in that as well. And so um, it was really, really nice to meet him in person. He had reached out and said, "I'm going to be there and would love to meet you guys in real life and maybe do a sketch." So I was able to sketch with him on Thursday morning, which was fun. Kurt, of course, was holding court, corralling people as they walked into the conference so that he could, chat with everybody. Kurt has got some skills, folks. But yeah, no, we were able to catch up and sort of talk about the sketching and talk about his work. So that was super fun. And that was kind of a really, again, kind of a nice way to kind of start the conference. What I didn't say on that Tuesday when Kurt was still in Michigan, when I was walking around, as luck would have it, I go get a coffee and found a really great spot. There's in San Diego. There's because the weather is so tremendous. A lot of cafes have really well designed patios, and they have this sort of garage door aesthetic of kind of let's open up the indoor outdoor transparency. But the detailing of those, is definitely at a higher skill level, we'll say. There's a lot of intentionality to the aesthetic associated with it. And so I found a really great coffee shop bakery. They had their doors open. They had a proper bar set up like right there, so you could sit at the bar, have your coffee, have your bagel, whatever, and look out the window or look out onto the street. And so I'm sketching there, and literally this person sort of sitting next to me kind of leans over at one point and goes, "Are you an architect?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And he says, "Well, I'm an architecture student from Tijuana." And so we ended up having this really amazing conversation. So that was like my first intro. And so sketching for the conference for me had these really wonderful, data points, kind of all sprinkled throughout, which were just reinforced sort of my love of sketching and sort of, kind of why I do it in terms of connecting with people, but also connecting with the places that I'm visiting. And then internally, there's a lot of benefit as well, obviously. But yeah, so had that experience, and then got to meet Nathan in person. So that was super fun, and that led into the keynotes for that day. One cannot. I would be remiss if I didn't also shout out Mike Ford, because his award and acceptance speech was also in that Shigeru Ban kind of early morning first keynote.
Oh, yep,
And
yep.
yeah, and so you had Shigeru Ban got the AI Gold Medal, so it's the sort of the highest individual achievement for an architect, sort of a lifetime achievement award. But then on the flip side, you had not even the flip side. You had Mike Ford, who is somebody Kurt and I both know and have a lot of respect for. But he is a talented architect, but also incredibly, service oriented, and was very, very fitting for him to get the Whitney Young um, Service to Society, uh, award, and gave a really, really tremendous acceptance speech. So for those who are listening, go and go and try and find the blurbs associated with that. It was a very, very short acceptance speech, but one that was very personal, but also very aspirational, very much in the spirit of Whitney Young when he addressed the AIA in the 60s. And the award was created and then, named in his honor. And I think that Mike's work with the hip hop architecture camps and whatnot really speak to a level of innovation and service that there aren't a whole lot of folks who are doing that. And so got to give him all the credit for that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's two aspects to be serious. Well, one's serious, and also one's a little, uh, what's the word? Like, if you know, you know, kind of statement. But the main one, the main takeaway was being publicly a public voice about saying, I will not ever lend my license or my time to designing buildings for incarceration, or for people, and which unfortunately doesn't get said out loud, right? I think a lot of people think it, but they're maybe afraid to sort of discuss it. So that was great. And then he closed his acceptance with a quote. Because Michael Ford's mostly, or a lot, a lot of his sort of notoriety is coming through his hip hop architecture camps that he runs. And so he said, I'm going to mess up the word for word, but it's basically, I never thought hip hop would take me this far. Christopher Wallace. And I don't think anybody at least in my little area of the seats, understood know who Christopher Wallace is. And basically, it's Notorious B.I.G. It's Biggie, right? That's Christopher Wallace. So Michael Ford was quoting a line from one of Biggie's songs. And being from the East Coast, I picked up on it immediately and leaned over to people, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's Biggie." And people like, you know, I'm glad that he, it was a fun little closer, one of those if you know, you know sentiments, and so I thought that was cool. And it was good to see him. And then I later then saw him collect his fellows medal at investiture on Thursday. So I went to the investiture where they celebrate all the new fellows for the AIA, those that got elevated from normal membership to fellowship. Um, and so there's a ceremony for that. It was in a really nice performance theater space that had just recently been renovated. A fantastic lobby, entry sequence, and then the theater itself was just really nicely done. And then, um, there was a few of our friends, Jennifer Kretschmer, Laura Teagarden, Jessica O'Donnell, Michael Ford, um, so many more that I can't remember.
Gianna.
But Gianna, geez, Gianna, our friend Gianna was elevated, which I don't know if I showed you the picture, but she threw up a nice peace sign when she received her medal. And
as Kurt was at that, like Kurt was sending me photos, like as people walked across the stage, Kurt got all of y'all, who may be listening, he got his own personal photo of that, and then Jamie got it very shortly thereafter. So there was a lot of excitement and camaraderie for it.
Doing a little reconnaissance and live reporting. But yeah, so neat. You walk up one side of the stage, being ushered by a past AIA national president. The current president puts the medal around your neck, take a picture, Then you walk off, and you're ushered off by a past chancellor of the College of Fellows, and everybody's wearing robes. I mean, so the joke is like it's kind of like a graduation ceremony because you're wearing the robes, and you get your picture and your diploma. And but it's really well run, and it's one of those things that, like, because after investiture, then there's like a dinner for fellows, and then I think there's a lunch on a different day. Like the fellows get a lot of special events. I didn't go to all that stuff, but um the you know considering how it's fellowship and AIA membership is like 3% of members are fellows. Some 2.5, 3% usually. And so every time they elevate new fellows, it is a big deal. And then, so like I think the pace of the events, right, kind of allowing it all to soak in is nicely done, right? Because it shouldn't be something that happens in 5 minutes on the side of a stage, but something that people can enjoy for all their hard work, and the process. So maybe in the future, both of us will be doing that at some point. Hopefully, we will have a chance to celebrate in that way. But anyway, so that it was nice to see Michael Ford, because in his case, when you win the Whitney Young, it automatically comes with fellowship, which it should, because the recognition of Whitney Young is not an easy feat, and so therefore it just
No.
is sort of a award or 2-part award. So that was Thursday. That's basically Thursday. Although except Thursday night, we were able to rope my twin brother into a little bit of happy hour, receptions with some of our organizations, like our alumni organizations. Entre Architect had a reception, and so I was able to convince Charlie to come hang out with us for a little while, which was fun because I think a lot of people were freaked out that there was two of me or two of him or two of us. And so, and my brother, and he's the theme music for the show is done by my brother, and so he's a friend of the podcast, and so it was fun to get him out, and he knew, he gave us some food recommendations along the week too, so it was good.
No, it's great to see Charlie. I
Busy
mean,
day.
I think that it was, yeah, I think, and Kurt is definitely playing down the seriousness of how that things start to ramp up. So that Thursday, it's a lot of overlapping events, especially with you know our convention group that we tend to spend a lot of time with, and support. I think it's Kurt also in effect was sort of one of the hosts for one of the events, for one of the which should be duly noted, because he wasn't able to migrate around, but then was able to as well. So he was able to go to Michigan and Lawrence Tech's event, and then we convened. We regrouped at Texas A&M, which was great. In between that, I was able to sneak over to the Texas Society of Architects event. They have a Texas Trail Break. They've always called it that. I don't know when that started, but that's what they call it, the Trail Break, which is great. It's really nice to have that level of support from those organizations when you go out to a national event. And Claris was at her alma mater, and then we all reconvened at A&M, and then went on to Entree Architect. And Mark had found a little kind of one of those highway bars in a very very fancy hotel, and it was kind of fun because they had the game on, and We were all sort of able to see some folks that we hadn't seen, and it was a really, really great way to kind of end night for sure.
Yeah, it was a kind of a very celebratory day, right? So having the little, and we always will find time to convene at the A&M reception because your your staff and all the A&M people are always so hospitable to to uh, hangers on like myself,
Oh,
non-alumni.
I mean, they were.
Very nice to
I mean,
us.
they were asking. Yeah, they were asking. They're like, "Are you bringing, Kurt and your crew?" And I was like, "Yes, they
They were
are
so
in
nice.
town and they are coming. They're so nice."
I know one of
And
one of your friends is approaching retirement, so it'll be very sad that when we won't see her in the future.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah. Melinda
someone
is
just as
about to
nice
be.
will fill
Yeah,
fill the
for sure.
role. But yeah, so Thursday, that's like that's the best Thursday recap we can do. Friday, a little bit more of the same with again coffee, keynote, and expo floor. A little bit of learning. You're gonna have to fill in some memory here. Oh, lunch on Friday. I believe this is the point where we get to start talking about World Cup soccer, right? And
Yes.
so uh, Jamie had been planning or his own watch party somehow with and the fun part was that the game was at noon, which
It was.
which
It was. It
naturally
was the
fit a
perfect.
lunch.
Yeah, it's like it was like as if I read my mind. They were just like, "We need to, like, Canada is playing, Canada's a host nation, their first match. Like, we're gonna give Jamie this window, like, on Friday, that I don't have to pick between a session or anything like that. I'm able to go have lunch with friends. If they wanna join me for a watch party, everyone got to see me, just dialed in. It was fantastic.
And the venue was great. They had this was the best deal all week. Um, had
Oh
a
my god, yes.
fantastic burger, fries. Did it come with anything else, or was it no? There was a happy hour, I believe, but also
There
burger
was it
fries
was
for like
yeah, burger
$6.
fries.
But it was not like some cheapo burger. And I
No,
showed up.
this was like their best burger. Like, this was like the best burger on the menu,
It
and
was
they're
like what
like, during
normally
this.
18 or $19,
Yeah.
and they were selling it for six between 11 and 12. And I got there at 11:59. By the time the server came up, it was 12:01, and they still gave it to me. So I
Yes.
walked out of there for $16 with a beer, and that was the only place in San Diego that I walked out of anywhere for that cheap. It's not a cheap city to host a conference, but when you get low price plus high caliber, uh, and so that was and we had this nice long bar, this bench that faced the big TV, so Jamie could soak it in all his Canada football, which
Yeah.
they won. No, they tied.
They tied.
They tied. I left a little early. I think I had uh, another thing to jump to, but yeah,
They tied,
I
which was their first, like, this is this is where we go on our soccer side quest for a moment. So,
did.
they tied, which was officially their first point, in World Cup competition. Because for a draw, you get a
Get
point,
one. Yeah.
and then for a win, you get 3. For a loss, obviously 0. So this was huge, great way to start their World Cup, on home soil as one of the hosts. Um, and we're able to get a draw with Bosnia Herzegovina, and Yeah, and got starting to get that party started for the Canadian team, which was I was not going to miss that match. So
And now since it's been 2 weeks, uh, we now know Canada has made it past the group, right? So they're into the
has made
next
it
round.
past. They are in the knockout round. This is the first time Canada's ever moved to the knockout rounds. So that's exciting as well. So a lot of history being made. A kind of a side note, kind of irony to it, though, is that even though they're the host nation and have advanced to the knockout round, their knockout game, because they came in second in their group, will actually be in Los Angeles. Um,
Mm.
so, um, but all that to say is they're through. They're not done yet.
Well, all,
Keep
all I
watching.
have to say is, well, congrats to Canada, but also the format for World Cup is worse than the worst yarn conspiracy map. I have no idea how any of it works. I like watching the games and seeing the fantastic athleticism and goal scoring, and then I just wait for someone to tell me what that means.
This guy. Yeah, you wait for this guy to.
Me and Danielle are kind of rooting for Mexico right now, just because they're having a great. I think they were 3-0 in or three wins in the group, something like that. Am I right? I don't know.
Well,
Mexico
they're
made it out
through.
of the group too, so you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so we catch
Well,
we're catching it on TV too.
I mean, and the the conspiracy thing that yarn wall of points and permutations that Kurt is referring to. I'm not even gonna not even I mean okay, I am gonna mention it. But it's you have in the group stage the top two people in the group advance automatic, right? So if you come in first or second in a group of four, you're through the knockouts. But because they've expanded the amount of teams, you're also going to have several third place teams that are also going to
I
advance.
think they're taking 8. Is it?
They're taking 8, and that's where it gets complicated. So
Yeah.
as we're recording this, the group stage, the knockouts don't start until Sunday. So tomorrow. Um, if you are also hearing more kind of Canadian accent in some of the vowels and things that I do, it might be because I'm leaning into this,
Oh, I
folks.
saw that you
But
sent me a picture of you eating poutine at the last game. So I mean,
yes, this is true. This is true.
it's on.
Um, it's on, game on. But yeah, the third place permutations, I will agree with Kurt. That's where it's gotten really. That's I had to read someone's description of how South Korea may, stay above the bubble for third place teams as an example, and there were like three scenarios, which it was like that's a lot. So good luck if you're trying to figure out how that all works.
I did find somebody on Instagram make a cool infographic by hand, actually, to describe it.
Ooh.
I'll send it to you. But that was useful. I still won't remember it all, but anywho. So that's kind of the highlight of Friday started, or I guess definitely increased the excitement at lunchtime. Then back to expo floor and continuing education, and then Friday.
Did you have a favorite continuing ed session that you went to?
Actually, on Friday, it was Friday afternoon. I went to expo floor session on AI in practice, and it was only a half hour session, but it was run by George. Oh, I forget his name. He teaches at Harvard, and he has a piece of software called X Figura, which is sort of a AI visualization tool plugin that runs with your design software. And but then they also had another practitioner who is a little bit more on the productivity side. So there's interesting contrast between design and productivity in their even in their half hour presentation, and I thought that was good. Um, it was so I would say that would be my highlight. I don't know if you well we kind of missed the I don't know if you were going to talk about Shigeru Ban a little bit in his talk, but
Yeah,
or if
I
you had
think it
something
was.
more interesting.
Well, there was sort of a side series of Architalks. It's sort of a newer format that they're bringing for the AI gold medalist winner and the firm of the year. And I thought that it was a welcome addition to the format for conference. I think uh, Shigeru Ban, he has um, a bit of an accent, for lack of a better term, sort of in his delivery when he's speaking. But that didn't dissuade me from listening and really enjoying kind of his sort of walk through his career. I mean, that kind of individual is not necessarily going to give kind of a speech about trajectories of the profession or something like that. That wasn't expected. I think it was expected to be kind of what's his why and what's sort of driving his practice, and inspirational from the work that's being presented. All of which is very very true of his work. I thought sort of fun anecdotes that he kind of included, which I'm not sure everybody kind of you know there was a little bit of a difficulty in listening, because he wasn't up on the dais. So
Mm.
I think, just out of kind of who he is and how he likes to present himself and connect with people, I don't think he felt super comfortable getting up on top of the platform,
Mm.
to stand behind or near the podium. I think he would rather have just sort of, I don't mind doing a speech, but don't make me get up there.
Mhm.
Which I think for some people that was a turnoff. They were like, I can't see him, I can't this, I can't hear him real well. He speaks with accent, and all of which was true. But I was there because I wanted to hear him speak, so I enjoyed it. And one of the tidbits for it that I thought was fun, because it made me think about some of the folks that I've been fortunate to meet in my career, especially when I was a student, or people that were faculty that I was, fortunate to connect with. He spoke about, kind of where he went to school, and the impact of some of those folks on his passion for architecture. And I thought that was an unexpected gift, I think, in that presentation. He talked about SciArc, being a student at SciArc. He talked about being a student at Cooper Union, and uh, I shared with somebody afterwards. I was like, he was talking about Cooper Union, talking about all these, people that you know, maybe were even sort of trying to dissuade him. He had a kind of an interesting comment about Peter Eisenman. I've seen Eisenman speak, and it definitely correlated to my perception of him. Uh, Incredible intellect, maybe an individual that you don't want to meet in person. Um, uh, but made me think of, had the opportunity. We've talked about this before. Is that, when I was a student, I was able to go to a conference for AIAS, a national conference, in DC, but they had a pre-conference in New York, and so was in New York for a very very short amount of time. It was like a day and a half, like 36 hours basically. And one of the keynote was Lebbeus Woods, at Cooper Union. So hearing Bond talk about his experience there, sort of the foundation and kind of building from it, I thought was a treat, frankly, because the a lot of the work I was familiar with, some of it maybe not as much, but really enjoyed it. And then the other one was kind of a neat counterpoint, the Duval Decker
Mm.
out of Mississippi. Um, the two partners, uh, presented it, and just the way that they speak about their firm, and the people that are alumni of the firm, and the people that are there now, and the people that they work with, the community aspect, not community in the sense of our clients as a community or the place where we are, but all of it. The people, the place, the feeling, um, uh, and the wrinkle that I'm glad that they did a kind of a moderated Q&A with them, was that kind of asked, some of those images that were on the screen, you didn't speak to them. They were sort of painterly, kind of almost like an acrylic or a watercolor, um, and they certainly tied to the themes that they were trying to present in the work. But we're like, well, where did those come from? And one of the partners was like, yeah, that's the way I like to think. That I like the activity of that, and the solitude aspect of doing some art related to place, and related to these broader themes, and kind of where they are. It reminded me, um, of architects who are almost like critical regionalists. They're really tied to the area in which they work, and they know it well because they live there or they're from there. I really, really, really appreciated it. I thought it was, having not been as familiar with their work, I've really kind of grown to try and look into it a little bit more, and certainly enjoyed their presentation.
Well, yeah, I missed both of those, but I'm glad they came off well for you at least. I think the Shigeru Bond thing is. I mean, he's a humble
Yes,
servant
that's
based.
the right word. Yes.
He's not going to be out there blasting his horn about the work. He's just going to do the work. But so it's nice to see, like, in real life, in real time too, that he is the same, or he lives that. He lives that reality that his projects seem to represent. So then Saturday is the kind of the culmination for the conference. Usually kind of breaks at midday. In my case, I went off. My brother lives nearby, so he's close to San Diego. So he picked me up in the morning, and he took me back to where he's from, and to I watched my niece dance recital on Saturday. She's 7, so it was kind of fun. And then spent the rest of the weekend with them before flying home on Sunday night on a red eye, which was I don't know. I had to bite the bullet, try and get home. Probably why I got a little bit of a cold or something, but just burning the candle was at both ends, as they say. But so for you though, you stayed to the conference, and in traditional, somewhat traditional fashion, right? You attended the walking sketch session that kind of gets people outdoors, drawing out in space. It run by a group kind of based out of South Carolina, right? Clemson. Was it the
Yep,
same group?
exactly. That's exactly right. Same group.
And let me show
The faculty
I'll pop up
member,
the sketch that you came up with there.
yeah, Len, the faculty member, he wasn't there, um,
Mm.
but it was definitely his cohort of Clemson alums and South Carolina architects. Um, but yeah, excellent to see all them. They, I'm at the point now that they remember me. Um, and so we had some good conversations. And again, San Diego. I mean, you can't beat the weather. So a walk and talk sketch tour in San Diego was a welcome way to end the conference before having to go to the airport. So
Yeah. So can you can see the sketch? I'm trying a new thing with the Riverside app, right? It should be showing the sketch right now.
yes,
Um,
yeah. So for those who may be familiar with Urban Sketchers, this is sort of similar in sort of style and format to that. Um,
Still there?
yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. So, uh, well, I guess the downtown, yeah, walking around. So, what, where, how far away from the conference center per se were you at this stage in the?
Oh, this is only like a 5-minute walk. This
Okay,
was this was just up into the Gaslight District.
Gaslamp. Yeah, 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 yeah. Which is a
Yep, yeah.
cool neighborhood adjacent to Conference Center, Petco Park. So was it typical fashion? They hit about what, four, three, four, or five little stations?
We did 3.
Uh-huh.
We stayed as a whole group this time, so a little different
Oh,
than the last time you did it with
okay.
me. Um, and it was in this particular one that we have on the screen, um, the street that, sort of is the main axis through the gas lamp. They had a street market on Saturday morning. And so,
Mm,
which was nice because then you had sort of the mix of tents and people, kind of moving through the space, kind of occupying the street. You didn't have cars, so added benefit. You actually could sort of position yourself in a couple different locations to get some good sketches done. So timing was excellent. And in this particular case, as I'm prone to do, which the Carolina boys, as I will refer to them now, they really liked that I went across. They noticed that I went across the page,
mm,
in the spine of the book. And so we actually ended up talking about it kind of as a bigger group, kind of like, why does Jamie do that? And I was like, because it's the way I can hold the book and get a bigger
mm,
canvas when I'm standing up. Because I mean, I do these when I'm standing up. I don't sit down. Um, and these are 15-minute sketches at most. And um, but yeah, this kind of opens up the canvas. It's you learn to kind of work across that spine, and it's convenient to hold it. Like, I'm left-handed, so I hold it with my right hand, as you're sort of seeing in the photograph here, and picking up the street corner and part of the market to the left that's in the foreground, and then some people kind of walking through that space.
yeah, the obviously the blurred photo in the background, you can see the context that you are sketching. Um, so it's nice, and I think for those that don't know or are new to the podcast, I mean, the whole seed of this whole thing kind of emerged, grew out of the shared interest we have in sketching as architects, but Jamie's black and white portrayals of his sketchbook in places, and the fact that these sketches are all very short, 10-minute. I mean, the intention is to keep them short, brief, gestural, capture the idea, standing, because this is like live, live and in person. That so Jamie's usually standing, or or sometimes he finds his seat. But so it's just kind of fun to kind of recap, as a sort of like a, uh, put a nice end to the conference, right, and have the little walking tour on Saturday. I couldn't pick a nice, the venue, definitely, one of the nicer outdoors, because you the threat of bad weather is pretty low in June in Southern California. So um, yeah, so and then we'll see next year, because it's gonna, the funny part will be that next year in Philadelphia, it's actually a little bit earlier in May, like toward the end of May. So there's the high chance on the East Coast that there, could be a little mix of weather happening, So
I think it's also like a heat thing, right? Because like you go to the East Coast, you go to some locales, and it there's a tendency for it to get blazing hot in the summer.
and
Like
humid.
don't
Well,
necessarily want. Yeah,
you're
yeah.
probably
I
used to the
mean,
humidity a little bit,
oh yeah. I
but
mean,
other conference goers maybe not. Yeah. So was there anything else to say about the sketching?
I would just say what I was alluding to at the beginning about the urban sketchers. One of um, the added features of that is the throwdown, right? So at
Mhm.
the the at the end, either at the end of a location or at the end of the kind of the whole session, you kind of throw down all the sketches and everybody talks and sort of shares. Because I tend to draw pretty fast, anyways. And it was a little bit of a smaller group. We were able to have a lot of conversations along the way. Saw some amazing, architect and artists, amongst the group, different styles, different techniques. So it's always sort of a way to kind of, get some good crib notes, for yourself to kind of try. There was one gentleman who was using, uh, gosh, those. I can't think of the name of the pen, but it was a sepia ink in the pen. Um, and so his sketches were super distinctive, especially when we did the throwdown. But I was with him at one of the stations, had some good conversation with him. But such an the he was his the nib on his pen. He had an extra fine sepia. He had another line weight as well, so he was sort of alternating between the two. But his ability to hatch with that very very thin pen in that sepia tone was just it was stunning, just stunning. Loved it. And yeah, so there's those moments as well. I think that's the other. You're not. I mean, I'll go out and sketch by myself all the time. And like as Kurt was saying, I love that. But I think that a way to see the city that you're visiting for a conference, can't beat it. Really, really enjoy it. And so in this particular case, the weather was also part of the journey. And so yeah, beautiful setting.
It might have been a little bit hotter. It was hot where I was with my brother. Was it hot for
It was
you?
warm. I mean, yeah, it was warm, but I mean, you know,
But bearable,
not
definitely
Texas
doable.
hot. Not
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, not Texas hot.
you're fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the group. Hopefully next year I will. Well, obviously won't have any family to travel to, but um, I'll make a point of being prepared with materials. So we've. I think this is a good. We've said it all. I mean, at least not all, but we've covered what we saw as the best parts of the conference. Another year, and so yeah, thanks, Jamie. It's been fun. We will
Yeah,
we'll be
this
back
was
soon with
a
a
good recap.
we'll be back soon with a the milestone episode, I guess, that we're alluding to. We'll get to that 200 with some special guests and have a good chat. And yeah, so Cheers to another year, Jamie.
Cheers to another year. More World Cup to watch.